Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to So Much to Talk About. My name is Nabaté Isles, and it's always wonderful to share facts and viewpoints on the world of sports. This week is no different. And before I introduce my esteemed guests, I want to let you know to make sure to check out past episodes of So Much to Talk About on my YouTube channel, which is N is a no, S is a Sam, I is an Indigo World, NSI World. You can see past episodes and interviews of So Much to Talk About. And this gentleman will definitely be added to the dossier of shows. He's one of the preeminent basketball writers around, and he has had such an extensive career. He was a NBA writer for the Denver Post, then for the Boston Globe, and then for Yahoo Sports for many years, and then he joined ESPN's The Undefeated as senior NBA writer, pretty much the main person when it comes to National Basketball Association news and how it pertains to race and society as well. It is my pleasure to present Mr. Marc J. Spears on So Much to Talk About. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm just jealous because when I was in elementary school, I took trumpet lessons, and I should have stuck with it, man. You know, I could have been like you.
Oh, man. I appreciate it.
I took them for like 2 years, and then I started liking sports, and then I said to hell with it.
It's never too late. Never
So
too
I see
late.
that trumpet in the back, and
Yes,
I'm
sir.
like, I remember all that spit I used to have in it, you know, like cleaning that spit out all the time. But no, man, finally, good to get on your show, man.
Oh,
I've
man, I
been trying
appreciate.
for some time.
No doubt. And I know it's been a very busy time for you. And how's your family doing? How are you doing through everything that's been going on over the past 4 months?
You know, personally, it's certainly been a challenge. My mom ended up getting COVID, and she's
Oh,
fine.
okay.
She's in her 70s, so it was really scary. And you know, my dad's elderly as well, and fortunately didn't get it from her, but my aunt and my uncle got it, and a couple other people in their circle died from it.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
you know, that was tough. And, you know, my uncle recently passed, but it wasn't because of COVID. You know, I think everybody is connected to somebody who sadly this year has either passed from COVID or just passed, man. I'm not trying to start this show on a damper, but they're just
Yeah.
every time, like I go on social media or Facebook, somebody else is gone, man. And so I'm really appreciating my daily breaths like no other time. It's
Yes.
been a very, very scary time for this world, for this country. And I'm not even talking about George Floyd yet, you know.
You dig,
I
right?
mean,
And Breonna Taylor, and
but
yeah.
that to me is something that it's not new for, you know, Black people. That's
Mm-hmm.
I've known this scary life, you know, since birth.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I saw this before with Rodney King.
Mm-hmm.
My parents saw it with the civil rights movement, and then for 400 years we've seen this. So, you know, obviously our world is there are people that are finally paying attention, and that's a great thing. So now that they're paying attention, they're finally listening, and the best way to educate people is when they're listening. So, you know, hopefully in time we could look back at this year
Mm.
on as a time when the world changed in a positive way. I mean, even the environment I think is getting healthier because we're inside,
Right.
and so hopefully there'll be a lot of change this year. I'll say that, and
Mm-hmm.
we could go into 2021 like really like us having a celebration like no other to hopefully have a lot of a change for the good.
That's right. Absolutely. And also have people appreciate each other more with what's going on, with knowing, like you said, with listening and being able to educate, but as well, too, knowing I appreciate each other, not being able to see each other that much,
Yeah.
definitely in March and April, for sure, in May, going into May. But wow, here with Marc J. Spears, senior NBA writer for ESPN's The Undefeated, on So Much to Talk About. And Marc, speaking of the people listening and speaking of people speaking, you wrote an outstanding piece last week for The Undefeated, which gave ideas on how the NBA and players can use their visibility of the bubble to really talk about Black Lives Matter, talk about justice reform, talk about cultural diversity. But you have Kyrie Irving, who led a group last week and led a call of like over 80 players about
Yeah.
possibly boycotting the bubble, not even playing. But as we see from the list of players that, the list was supposed to be finalized yesterday, players that were not going to participate, there weren't that many players. So what's going on now with Kyrie and this movement, as well as how can it really put a damper into the National Basketball Players Association down the road?
Well, there was another release yesterday, which I had expected and alluded to in my story in Undefeated last week, that,
Mm.
this isn't Mahmoud Rauf do. You got to say that 3 times
Yeah,
fast. Yeah. It's not Mahmoud's NBA. This is a NBA in which Donald Sterling was banned for
Mhm.
his actions,
Yes.
and so I mean the NBA still has to improve a lot in terms of the entire league, in terms of diversity in a lot of ways,
Mhm.
from executive level to GM, coaches, PR, media. Like there's a lot of improvement. That being said, the NBA is still the model for the other North American, franchises to follow, leagues to follow in terms of diversity and race relations. I say that to say that I think the NBA is standing with the players, like they want to help. They want to do more. They want to help the cause. They want to make the microphone bigger in Orlando. So it's not like the NFL where you got a league that you don't know, like you kneel and who knows how they're going to respond to it. No, the NBA wants to help your cause. So there are going to be more people watching these games than ever before worldwide.
Mhm.
There's going to be a platform for the players on a daily basis to talk to a media that now is listening.
Mhm.
I mean, I think before, people like myself, which was a small number, were writing about race relations and inequalities and police brutality all the time. But the
Mhm.
majority of the media wasn't, whether they weren't listening, didn't care, or just were naive or just scared to talk about it. And that was Black media included.
Yep.
There were a lot of Black media that just shied away from the topic too, that are now
Mhm.
suddenly woke.
Yep. You
Which
dig?
is
Right.
kind of laughable for me, but hey, now I'm glad everybody is doing, now that the temperature in the water is warmer now, people are jumping in and let's go.
Mhm.
You got media now that now want to write about it that didn't want to write about it before. So the
Yeah.
media's in.
Yep.
You have the ability to get the company for the stars that endorses you. You have the ability to get those companies to do things in your behalf in terms of their commercials and their promotions. And so I think when the players do get to Orlando, the NBA is basically going to give them the platform on a daily basis to speak out, and the NBA is going to speak out on its own.
Mhm.
And so I think if you're somebody that loves the NBA, but you don't like Black people, it's going to be a hard season for you to watch, because
Right.
every game there's going to be something. I mean, we saw Black Lives Matter jerseys in the Premier League. So what do you think we're going to see
Mhm.
in the NBA?
Oh, yes.
Like
Yep.
it's going to be PSAs, it's going to be commercials, it's going to be players talking to the media, it's going to be Black Lives Matter shirts. Maybe it's on the court.
Mhm.
But I think there's going to be a reminder, with every game about social injustices, about police brutality, that perhaps even the coldest of heart, because they like basketball, will start to listen and get better and heal. And there are a lot of people that perhaps in 5 months ago kept, keeping a blind eye toward it, or thought Kaepernick was horrible, and now they understand.
Yes.
Now they get it. So, I remember I was talking to my sister. I'm like, why now? Why all of a sudden now people care after
Yeah.
all these years? And she's like, let's just be happy that they care now.
Better late than never. Better late than never.
That's what she said too. Better late than never. So
That's right.
we're here, and I think the NBA is going to have a mammoth platform in terms of allowing the players to speak. But for the players that aren't in the bubble, Durant, Kyrie, who's passionate, like Kyrie, keep that passion.
Yeah.
Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Trae Young. For all those guys that are outside the bubble, hopefully they collectively do stuff to keep banging the drum about those issues, about voting. Trae Young is supposed to be doing some big voting things, as well as Draymond Green.
That's right.
So I think the NBA has the ability to grab their bullhorn and preach inside the bubble and outside the bubble for the next 4 months.
No doubt, no doubt. And that's the thing. And it's all Kyrie and Dwight Howard, they just got to get the ideas flowing, and they're two intelligent brothers, so they'll definitely do that. Marc J. Spears, senior NBA writer for the Undefeated, ESPN's The Undefeated, here on So Much to Talk About. Now, Mark, owners, well, before I get to owners, actually, black leadership, which owners have a lot to do with because they hire the GMs and the president of basketball operations, etc. Now, you wrote a piece 4 years ago about the lack of black leadership in the front office. It's improved now, but it's really interesting, though. Masai Ujiri is still the only black executive that has final autonomy on decisions, personnel decisions, pretty much. But you have other GMs that really don't have that power. Will we see even more of an improvement for GMs and presidents of basketball operations to really have have that power over the organization?
We've been seeing that over the last year. I think the numbers are going up, although the Pistons, fired the other black president recently. The Knicks had the only other black president.
Right.
He's gone. But they still have a black GM. William Wesley is going to be an executive role. He's black. Walt Perrin, who joined them as an assistant GM, is another black man who's very super veteran in terms of NBA experience in the front office. I think the Chicago Bulls and Detroit Pistons kind of got their arms back, arm twisted a little bit. They didn't just like, yay, we want to hire somebody black. They, in terms of considering somebody black, both franchises got their arms twisted a little bit. That's a whole story for another day. But they ended up hiring Mark Eversley with the Bulls, who's a black Canadian, and the Pistons ended up hiring a guy that's always been regarded as a top GM candidate, Troy Weaver.
That's right.
He's been with the Thunder for a long time. So the numbers are slowly creeping up. But as somebody mentioned the other day, I wonder if a lot of ways if these GM positions like carry the same weight that they used to. Because like if you look at New York, Detroit, New Orleans, San Antonio, places, soon to be Denver, places where you have, black general managers, there's really like presidents above them that are really the general managers, really the final decision makers.
That's right. You have to report to them.
Yeah. So I like in Cleveland, with Kobe Altman, he is a true general manager there. He is the guy that makes the decision other than the owner. Whereas I think in a lot of these other places, there is still somebody that makes the final call over the black general manager. So in a lot of ways, these general manager roles are still amazing roles and the title looks great. But a lot of these general manager positions that are, like Elton Brand is a true general manager in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these positions don't have the same cachet as before because there is a president of basketball operations above them that makes the final call.
Right.
So in
Right.
a sense, a lot of them are really assistant GMs.
Yeah, at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's good that the numbers are going up, and I think there's going to be more awareness. Like you said, some teams feel like they're going to have their arms have to be twisted for sure, to make those decisions. But as long as we continue to show that we can be able to make great personnel decisions, that we can
Mm.
be able to lead teams to championships, that's the key. That's what's paramount. But Mark, now owners, where NBA owners at? Where are they at in the cause? Like, of course, Michael Jordan, we know, but he's a black man. So, of
Yeah.
course, he's going to put his money where his mouth is. Mark Cuban is doing some good things when it comes to awareness. I'm sure he's been giving some financial support to the movement. But where are the other owners?
You know what? I'm not so hard on that because a lot of these owners never were speaking much anyway. You know what I mean? But I'm more so worried about, I really don't care what a lot of these guys think. I care what a lot of them do.
But that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think these statements to me are receipts because all these teams have put out statements. So we need to hold, as media, the players, the fans, like, hold your teams responsible for the statements that they've made, for what they said that they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't need an owner to say that that Black Lives Matter. Like, I know this. It's not, it's nice if the Robert Sarver says it, right? Okay. But I want to know what Robert Sarver does. I don't know. I don't care that he makes a statement.
Yep.
But if he does make a statement, then let's hold them to the fire in what they said that they're going to do. Like the Lakers made a huge statement by hiring a diversity and inclusion officer for their team.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
Yes.
That's doing something. Cuban says he's going to do a bunch of stuff. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm more worried about that than like somebody like reading a statement in front of a camera or, that's disingenuous just because they're trying to keep business. I'd rather see action in the communities, action in terms of getting more like what the NBA is pushing teams to do with the Players Association is, getting more Black-owned businesses involved with the teams, trying to do more things in the communities. Like I
and
talked to Garrett
bring them
Temple,
as part of the games, too, having Black restaurants, things like that.
Yeah. And some places have done that. Like I know in Warriors, for example, they incorporated Big Nate's Barbecue in the past, and from Nate Thurman, who's has since passed, and I believe his restaurant is in the new building. And they've incorporated some Oakland businesses. I don't know how many of them are Black businesses, but that's what I want to see. I want to see action. Put your money where your mouth is, not just say something yeah, that's cool that he said that. Like, now we know where the next owner stands. You know what I mean? Like, by not saying, so like, let's see action instead of hollow words.
Yeah. And do you think maybe the NBA can kind of push for owners to do something like Michael Jordan, what he did with $100 million for the next 10 years from him and Jordan Brand? Can owners maybe match that? All 30 owners do something like that.
I think the players have to use their power. Like the stars of every team. Like, I think if Giannis goes to Mark Lasry and says, "Hey, and the Bucks do a lot of things, and can you do this for Milwaukee? Can you do this for Africa? I think Lasry, who actually is from Morocco, little known secret about him.
Wow.
I think Lasry will do more, will want to do more. Like, the players now have the voice of the owners. They have the NBA and the teams in their hand. Take advantage of this opportunity. Because once the dust settles, once it quiets down, Like, I hope and dream that all this passion that people have, all this anger that they have now, stays with them. The fight for equality, to get rid of police brutality, that fight that they have in them now,
Mhm.
sticks with them to their last breath.
That's right.
You know, but it's inevitable that things calm down, the world heals, their maybe their focus goes in a different direction. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's why I think it's paramount for the players to now, like, before we go to Orlando, and this is I play for the Nuggets. I want a meeting with Stan Kroenke and Josh Kroenke, and this is what we
Mhm.
want. And you
Sure.
want to look them in the eyes, even if you got your mask on, look them in the eyes and say, what are you going to do for us?
Mhm. That's right. That's right. Not
Like,
just
like
Mhm.
this is the time to be aggressive. This is the time to ask. Everybody doesn't need to know publicly these conversations, but they are forced to listen to you now. So I think the same way the Players Association is having these conversations with the team, the owner, with the NBA, they need to have it with their own respective teams as well, whether they're going to Orlando or not.
Yes. Very true. Very true. And Mark, speaking of Orlando, going right to that, under the bubble, it's going to be a completely different format and of course a different situation, and there will not be any comfortability, excuse me, of what those 22 teams have to go through for sure. And it's going to be like a sci-fi movie pretty much,
Well,
it,
it actually though might be the safest place to be.
oh, that's what I mean. Yeah, but I
Yeah,
mean, just
you know what I
right,
mean.
right, right,
Like, so you're telling me you could be in a place where everybody gets tested daily and nobody has it, and then if they have it, they immediately get quarantined. Like, when I walk outside right now in Oakland, California, I don't know these people.
That's true. That's true.
I
At
don't
least
know what they doing. I don't know what like. Every person you come in contact outside may have it. At least in this environment,
Mhm. It's that's true,
you
right?
know,
But
I mean, now they will have Disney workers on the site doing
mhm,
things, but you know, I'm and they're unionized workers, but they'll probably be dressed dang near like astronauts.
yeah,
I could see them going to clean the rooms when the players are at practices or meetings. Like, they may not even see these folks really.
right, right,
They're not going to have access to these folks, and these people want to keep their jobs, so they certainly ain't trying to bring nothing into that environment. I'm sure
right.
they're going to have gloves, masks, maybe even shields,
Mhm,
super sanitized. Like, Disney got cameras everywhere, so they're going to be watching all their moves.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
and the last thing they want is somebody from the NBA getting sick on the inside. So
That's right.
I actually think that it's could be about as safe as place in the world to be in.
True, but some players, you know what it is. There are a lot of protocols, a lot of rules and restrictions. Some players may not be down with that, but I
No,
want to
they don't have to go,
right
but
but
I do
that's
think it's going to be safer for them in there than it is going to be in their own neighborhood.
yeah, for sure.
At least what who's in there. They're getting tested.
Mhm.
When you go to the grocery store, you're at
Oh,
risk.
oh,
When
absolutely.
you
That's
do
why wear
anything
gloves and a
outside,
mask.
you're at
Yeah.
risk. There's
Mhm.
no like thing that says before you walk in this grocery store, we're going to test you and give you your results.
Oh, not
Like,
at
when
all.
you're in that Orlando environment and um, you're getting tested every day, like, the environment that you're in. It's like a wild, wild world every time I step outside my door.
Yeah,
The only
true.
environment I can control is my condo.
Mhm. At the end of
And
the
like,
day.
I just went to Dallas for my uncle's funeral, and my cousins who had flown in as well. We went to get some. We went to get some daiquiris,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and the daiquiri shop there. You know, us Louisiana people got to get our daiquiri. So we go to the daiquiri shop. We all have masks on. There's like 20 customers in there. We're the only customers that have masks on. The employees themselves have masks on, but I'm like, coming from California, I'm like, whoa, this is strange.
Right.
And as soon as I got out of there, man, I was we all got sanitized and we had masks on. But I'm like, these people are so cavalier. Like in Texas, they're like cavalier. Now you see
the spikes.
spikes going up. And that's not to say California's spike ain't going up either, because, yeah, California has the same issue. But I haven't gone anywhere in California where you don't see people wearing masks for the most part. You know what I mean? Or somebody not screaming about it.
Right.
So going back to Orlando, like you're gonna be tested and you're gonna have masks on. Like, you know, and some people might have shields on. So I think Dr. Fauci said that that's probably about as safe as an environment that sports can have, which I think is going to be a problem for Major League Baseball and for the NFL. It's like, you don't know what these folks are doing on a daily basis, man.
Yeah.
You don't know what they're doing. Like it's as one football star said, it's like the trust system. You know what I mean? It's like, you're talking about 80 players. You're talking about a larger group of people. I could see baseball players and football players numbers being a lot very, very high. Whereas I think in the NBA, once they get there, they can control it.
That's right.
And if somebody happens to get sick while they're in there, boy, they're going to put them in some, you seen the TV show they're going to have them like that box in the TV show like that glass box, man.
Like I said, sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
You know, for sure. Yeah. And Marcus, speaking of Orlando, you know, like with these situations going on, there are going to be a lot of upsets, especially in the playoffs. I don't see the Lakers, Clippers, or Bucks winning it because the situation is just different. You know, like I see a team getting hot and at the right time. No. I have to look at. No. I'm just saying.
No,
I don't.
If you say no, you say they're not going to win it. Who do you got?
I see a team like Houston that can make a run in there. I see a young team like New Orleans that it could really gel, and they have everyone healthy with a lot of talent. I see the Philadelphia 76ers having with this time off. With this time off, you know.
Well, here's what I see. I see the Clippers being a force because the Clippers really didn't have a training camp.
That's true, and they're all healthy. True, the Clippers.
They're all healthy.
Right. True.
Now you're going to have like Doc was crying all season, understandably so, about their lack of training camp, about their lack of familiarity.
Right.
You know, I remember when I covered the Celtics when they won the championship in 2008, Ray Allen saying that even though these guys went to camp together in Italy, which was great for them, they really weren't on the same page until March of that season.
Yeah.
The Clippers haven't been on the same page all year and still have had a lot of success. So now they get to basically have a 3-week training camp and some preseason games.
That's true.
And 8 games to get ready. And I thought they were the best team before. I think they'll be even better now. Then you got Morris coming in. He gets more time with the guys. There's just more familiarity now, more camaraderie because they've been talking to each other on text and everything. So I really think, even with Avery Bradley leaving, not coming back defensively for the Lakers, that's a huge loss. I like the Clippers right now a lot. A lot. I just think pound for pound, healthy training camp, they're going to be the biggest force. The Bucks are going to be interesting, but like the Celtics will be healthier. Kemba Walker will be healthier.
That's another team.
Worry about them. Toronto is that team that's like they got a chip on their shoulder.
And they're going down to Orlando early. They're going down there early together.
They're the champs. They know how to play well together. They know how to play in tough situations. It's not out of the realm of possibility that the Raptors could be back in the finals. And in terms of the Eastern Conference, I really feel like it could be the Bucks, Raptors, Boston, or Philly is the dark horse. Like Embiid could be a lot healthier. Simmons could be a lot healthier and rested. Keep in mind, and I don't know if it'll be different under this circumstance, that typically in the playoffs there's no back-to-backs.
Yep.
I would hope that they would in this situation, because then they could get it over with faster. But in the Western Conference, I really only see two teams, though, man.
Yeah. What about Denver? If Jokic could, Jokic is now quarantining.
They gotta prove to me that they could get over that hump. The way like they lost last year, and I worked in Denver. I know how Denver Nuggets fans feel, man. They're just like, until it happens, they're just not going to believe it, And I just don't know that that team has got enough veteran leadership, maturity. Like, I think Jokic is a really talented player, but he didn't come in shape before the season after they just had this knocked out of the playoffs bad. So I don't know where his motivation really is. It's like the Nuggets are just like they're like the Jazz. They're a young team that could make some noise. In terms of the Rockets, I think their lack of size is going to end up backfiring on them. Like, I just remember that Clippers game where Zubek was just destroying the Rockets.
Inside, right. And they
kept basically, like, James Harden and Westbrook are going to have to be phenomenal on a nightly basis in order for them to win.
And Harden's in better shape. He's in better shape, for sure.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's a lot to put on two guys. I just think when it gets to the second round, when you're going to see the Lakers or the Clippers, like, if you don't have size, then you don't get rebounds.
Right.
If you start wearing down your big, you're like the PJ Tuckers of the world, like having to guard Zubek or having to guard Dwight Howard or you know what I mean? Like, that could, like, wear you down, man. So I do think size still matters, and they're gonna regret letting Capella go.
Yeah, at the end of the day, for sure. And Mark, while here with ESPN's The Undefeated senior NBA writer Marc J. Spears, pleasure to have him on. So much to talk about. Mark, we have a couple more questions for you. Wow, okay. so much that we've talked about, just with everything going on with what's on the court and what's off the court. But I wanted to ask you something. You've covered so many different people for over 2 decades, so many different interesting figures in the NBA. Which one has been the most inspiring for you to cover?
I think Earl Lloyd. I got an opportunity to spend a lot of great time with Earl Lloyd, the first ever Black
player,
NBA player. I've also gotten to know Chuck Cooper the third, the son of Chuck Cooper, who was the first Black player to get drafted. I also recently, during Martin Luther King weekend in Memphis, I got to meet Nat Sweetwater Clifton, the first Black player ever to have a contract. His daughter. So basically, the 1950-51 NBA season was the first season that they had Black players in the NBA. Chuck Cooper was the first to be drafted, got drafted by the Celtics. Clifton was actually the first to have an NBA contract. He was officially the first Black player, because the Globetrotters, believe it or not, actually traded his contract to the Knicks. And then Chuck Cooper was drafted by the Celtics. The Washington Nationals. And because of a scheduling quirk on October 31st, on Halloween of 1950, he was the first to play in an NBA game. Keep in mind then that NBA was probably like AAA baseball or something, or like Arena League football. It wasn't big like it is now. So there wasn't a lot of fanfare behind Earl Lloyd being the first, but he was the first. And I got to spend time with him years before he passed in Crossville, Tennessee, which was 0.2% Black. I think it was him and his wife who were the only 2 Black people there. Wow. And they had like Confederate flags around the town.
Oh, man.
Hardly any, Black folks there, but, to interview him there and get to know him, be friends with him after that, like that always, like when I get ask that question like you asked, the first person that always comes to mind is Earl Lloyd, because I've been blessed, I think, to have met every NBA player, pretty much NBA player, a note in the top 50 of all time.
That's right.
Cross paths, met him at some point, and Earl Lloyd's not on that list, but him being basically like the Jackie Robinson of the NBA, that's always special to me to have gotten to know him.
Truly special, for sure. And now, what's next for Marc J. Spears? Any pieces you have coming up? What's next for the ESPN's The Undefeated? Let me tell you, that platform with the great television shows and specials that they've been given on ESPN about furthering the cause and just a great platform online. I mean, Kevin Merida, shout out to him. He's done a great job in being editor-in-chief. So talk about what's next for the Undefeated and yourself as well.
Yeah, well, hope I'm expected to be in Orlando. Still waiting on the details of that. So there'll certainly be a lot of social justice, racial equality things that I'd like to write about there.
Can't wait to read. Can't wait to delve in.
So working on that, and I got a couple stories. I can't reveal my sleeve just yet that I'm working on, but I think they're gonna certainly raise an eyebrow. I'm actually talking to Monty Williams as soon as we get off here from the Suns, and doing probably something on him soon. Who's extremely interesting guy who's had gone through a lot in his life.
That's right.
So look out for the Monty Williams story coming soon. But yeah, man, I stay busy, man. Even with COVID, I stay busy, man.
That's
we racism don't stop.
That's so right.
We always got something to write about. Undefeated, man. So please keep reading us.
You're a big jazz aficionado. Of course, you played the trumpet. You know what's up with it. What's
not really,
but you know what it takes. You know what it takes. That's for sure.
I tried. The trumpet is probably a better play. And trying is two different things.
but I want to ask you, what do you listen to now? You know, which musicians have, when you're writing, which musicians are providing the underscore for you as you write and everything, and who you been into?
Man, I'm pull them up right here because you'll probably be surprised. I've been listening to a lot of him, man.
Wow,
I was
man, and Femi's doing great work. Definitely.
So I've been listening to, like, that's just music you could just, I love it, man. I've been getting more and more familiar. I think my trip to Johannesburg 3 years ago for the NBA Africa games, really started getting me into the Afro beats and stuff like that. Right. And Afro beats are great, but this man stuff.
Yeah, that's the original. That's the original. Yeah. Hugh Masekela too. Hugh Masekela's
So I've been listening to a lot of that, man. Like dude, shout out to my guy Branford Marsalis, man.
Yes, indeed. Our guy. Yes, indeed. Branford.
His father passed, and
God
that was sad. He passed because of COVID. So that, got to spend a little bit of time with his dad in New Orleans. So Branford and I are great friends.
Yes.
I've gone to listen to him several times, and every time it's just amazing. So I'm looking forward to him going back on tour and seeing him. But nah, man, I'm a fan of a lot of different music, but there's just so many jazz artists that hopefully, like, jazz don't die. You know what I mean? Like, it's
indeed.
I like the old school jazz, man. I'm not a smooth jazz dude. I like,
Thank you. Right.
Terrence Blanchard's of the world, and Branford Marsalis's of the world. Like,
that's right. Roy Hargroves, God rest his soul.
Hargrove. I think Branford, the two people that like I could watch Branford play. If he comes on tour, I could watch him play 3 concerts in a row. I'm just like, he's amazing. His energy is amazing. His band just has great camaraderie. They love each other, and you can just see it in their passion in the way they play. And Roy Hargrove, man, like, He used to be that. I used to go watch him, and he was so cool, man.
Yes.
Just like so cool.
Yes.
And no, but Branford's my favorite. He once took me to the Monterey Jazz Fest, and I got to meet the guy from Hamilton. Nationwide is on your side. What's the guy's?
Oh, yeah, Leslie Odom.
I
Leslie
got to
Odom.
meet Leslie
Yes,
Odom.
I got to work with him with Christian's band, which is great. And I
And
was
so I got to
just
see him perform, and he's, Hamilton's coming out on Disney soon, so he'll be in that.
yes.
And so, through Branford, I got to meet Joshua Redman, and there's this really old sax player who was on the Cosby Show. Guy's like in his 90s, and
Jimmy Heath. Was it Jimmy
I met
Heath?
Jimmy Heath.
He passed away, Jimmy.
That's right. He
earlier
recently
this year. Yeah.
So I got to meet Jimmy Heath and some of the great sax players. I mean, I still am learning, but I'm John Coltrane, Miles Davis. Like those are kind of my guys, man.
Yes.
I like the old school stuff. Shout outs to the brass bands in New Orleans, man, and people that aren't on that music. Rebirth, Hot 8. Those bands, like, to me, I hope that the country could start discovering brass band music more, because it's amazing.
That's right. Absolutely. And it's the foundation. Remember, the trumpet is a biblical instrument. You know what I mean? So yes, indeed. So wow.
Yeah.
But
we'll talk about that. We'll just have a music episode.
Yes, indeed. We have exactly all music. We got to do that sooner than later. Definitely after the bubble, because I know the bubble you're gonna be. That's all. I know you gotta be.
Hit me back, bro.
For sure.
We're good.
Wow. Well, the great Marc J. Spears, thank you for being on. So much to talk about. Appreciate you. And thank you all for watching. Be blessed, be safe, stay woke. Black Lives Matter, for sure. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.